Welcome to Christoe TV. I'm Buddy Mix. We're very glad to be here again with Emmanuel Christoe, a very prolific and dynamic figure in the Ugandan community of Kampala. My guest today, he is a CEO, he's an overseer, a businessman, an actor, a producer, a pastor, not only a pastor, but a pastor for pastors. He educates pastors and certifies that they have reached a level of understanding in the church that they can then go forth and be pastors for their community. He is the founding president of Watto International, and he's the author of the book Women Are Taking Over, which we discussed in our first interview with Mr. Christoe. Today we're going to look at a book that he's also written called World War III. That's a very dynamic title. And Racism by Christoe Emmanuel. Emmanuel Christoe, excuse me. Anyway, folks, without any further ado, please help me to welcome Christoe Emmanuel, our guest today.
Thank you, buddy.
It's good to see you again.
It's
Christoe.
a pleasure to be here with you again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
You know, I've been looking over this book, World War III, and it struck me that it's a lot different than what I anticipated by the title. So what was your intention in writing World War III as a title?
Okay, firstly, the book does not address a war, like a weaponry war. It addresses a war of the brain. It's a social issue. So I addressed it as a war simply because I wanted people's attention to understand, so that they can be able to read and also understand the message within the book. So the book is basically about the social issues that we do have as a people globally, which result from the differences that we bear, the differences in culture, traditions, levels of standards of living, and colors. So this has raised more concern, especially in social sciences, where we have developed a curriculum to try to help people understand themselves and others. So especially to people who want to travel all over the world and want to do business everywhere, there are barriers resulting from linguistic, culture, traditions, and beliefs. So in order to create an environment that is suitable for everyone, we decided to develop that curriculum to help people understand the differences and the uniquenesses that they're going to find wherever they will go to do business, or for a tour, or wherever they choose to live. So
this understanding is so dynamic. You're really, instead of referring to bombs and bullets, you're talking about connecting with each other.
Yes.
And that is your World War III.
Yes.
Very good. According to the Christoe theory of racism, you said racism is not discrimination, but it can lead to discrimination.
Yes.
How do you define that?
You know, many people and many theories define racism as a discrimination. But to me, I don't see it as a discrimination, because it is actually a sense of trying to understand something that you are not used to. Because we have to believe, whether we believe it or not, we are different. We are different, and we are unique, and we are not used to each other. So racism is like the technique or the first impression, that kind of sensitivity that you feel inside. Once you get in touch with something new, like a new culture, new language, it is all kind of complex. So you're trying to figure out your brain to understand what is new to you. So for me, I define it as a normal thing, or a sense of humor. It is humor to get surprised, to get amazed, to get sensitive about certain things, to get critical about certain things, to ask questions, to get to know why are you white, why am I black. So it's not actually discrimination, but it is a psychological sensitivity that is that everyone as a human being bears. Yeah.
So the discrimination versus racism, could you unpack that a little bit for us? How is that different, discrimination?
With discrimination, you can actually discriminate someone from your race. There are so many reasons why people discriminate people. Maybe of the behaviors, or maybe of the attitude. But racism is not about behavior. Racism is not about the attitude, how you think. Racism is about the uniquenesses and the differences, because we are different. Your food is my poison. Yes. What you consider to be drug to you, medicine to you, I'm allergic to it. So it's not about the way. It's not about the attitude and behavior. It's about uniqueness. So
in this way, you're actually saying that racism is not necessarily a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing. It's very common in humans. We are all sensitive. Yeah, we are all sensitive.
Especially to the differences that we
exactly.
share. Yeah. You know, in your book, you mention about people becoming victims of discrimination. Could you go into that a little bit for us? Let's unpack that. What is a victim of discrimination?
Okay. What causes people to become victims of discrimination is firstly trying to live in a different world away from your home, and trying to expect to be welcome where it's not home, trying to adopt your culture into other cultures, failing to learn the new cultures where you go to, and also failing to learn the new languages, trying to first, immigration. Immigration is a big issue. People are leaving their homes to go and live in other countries.
Right.
So you won't feel at home where it's not home. You cannot be actually a boss.
In both worlds at the same time.
Exactly.
Interesting. So the victim role, how does that play into that? So you're coming from another country to a new world, a new experience. How does one become a victim of that experience?
If you don't understand the differences, then you will feel victimized. Actually, you can never be a victim unless you accept to be one. So if you really understood that where I am are all whites, so the white kids will look at me different. If I knew that before I go in the white community, I won't be embarrassed or feel a victim or feel like discriminated. I just understand that I'm unique, I'm different, that's why they look at me that way. So that helps me to put my mind together, and also to be able to live in that community without anybody feeling. Yes.
So you accept yourself.
You accept yourself, and you understand them. You understand why they look at you like that, why they think.
So you don't feel any sense of being less than or strange. You just feel a sense of understanding that you are different, and therefore they're going to look at you and say, well, who's this? What's this all about?
You're making news.
You're making news.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's a living...
You are actually an experiment. Yes. They're trying to study. They're trying to, when we go to the white communities, the kids try to check our skin to see whether there is oil. So I cannot feel discriminated because
Sure.
they're trying to discover what's wrong with his skin.
Well, or perhaps what's different.
What's different? Yeah.
Yes. I've found that to be true for myself coming here to Uganda. That the children look at me as in amazement.
Yes.
And they're curious.
Yeah.
But I don't feel discriminated. I feel
Different. Yeah.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
But in a joyful way. Yeah. Very nice. So now, what makes the world, in your book, you're talking about World War III, and that connotates a sort of separation. So what do you feel is dividing the world today?
I think what divides the world, firstly, is politics.
Politics.
Yeah. Politics has brought divisions. But before we talk about that, we should know the origin of the differences. Because we must believe that the world is divided. And it was divided by God himself according to Genesis. So at the Tower of Babel, the Bible says all men on earth were speaking one language. And we are living together. So God wanted us to separate so that we can feel the earth. So he brought confusion at the Tower of Babel, and each man started speaking a different language. And because they could not understand each other, they could not live together. So
please, if you don't mind, that's the Tower of Babel? Is that what you're
yes, the Tower of Babel. Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand that. Yeah, so I remember that in the Bible.
Yes. So because they could not understand each other, they aparted, and each person took a different direction. So God intended that people should fill the earth and also multiply and also bring development and civilization in different parts of the world. So it wasn't only the language that changed, also they developed different cultures wherever they started living. Because the weather changes, we have the climatical changes, and we have also the foods. Yeah, the foods. So the foods and the climate determines the culture.
So this is, in a sense, this separation was intentional.
It is intentional.
And it divided us.
Yes, he divided us.
So what can bring the world together then? Let's say we're all divided, we're all different, we have different languages, different foods. How do you feel that we can...
And since we have grown in population and we have civilization and the world has grown so fast and we are many, God's intention has already been found.
Accomplished, yes.
Accomplished. Now we need to come back together. We need to speak the same language again. So one of the most important things that bring people together is the education. Did you know that in Africa, because most of the countries in Africa were colonized by British, so we are speaking the British vocabularies, and also we are studying the British curriculum until now. So you find Britain in Africa. We speak English as our official language. This has played a big role in bringing people together. But not only that, also the technology. The technology. Imagine how long it took people to communicate through mails when we didn't have the phones.
Right.
When we didn't have the TVs, the televisions, and like for example in Africa, many people had never seen a white person without TV. Because I remember when we were kids, we had only one television station, the BBC, the UBC for the country, for the government. And now we have so many channels, and people are exposed to TVs. Almost every house has a TV. Wow. So media has played a big role. Kids can watch a movie and they can see America from Africa.
So you see media and technology as
Yes.
a tool towards reuniting the world.
Yes, people can watch Europe from Africa, and they get the idea of how Europe looks like. So the same also applies to social media. People are getting connected on speed because of the network on social media, the Facebook and other platforms. People connect with each other. People talk to each other. The Zoom meeting, the video call,
Sure.
in just a split second. So God has anointed men with such wisdom to produce such technology so that people can come back together. Yes. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
So another thing that brings us together is religion. Religion has brought so many people of different political parties under the same roof.
And yet there are those differences in the different religions that are out there. So how do you feel this religious development is starting to also unite?
Firstly, every religion teaches God. They all try to find God. It doesn't matter how they try to find Him and what they believe, but every religion is playing a big role because they can bring people of different cultures and traditions together. And all these people come together to try, as they try to find God.
And what would you define as God?
Okay, there is always a sense in people's mind that there is a God. There is a supernatural powers behind the creation and everything that happens. Because godliness simply means extraordinarity. Whatever we cannot do by ourselves is what defines the godliness. We find God in extraordinary and supernatural experiences in life. The sun, the moon, the stars, the new day, the breath of life, and death.
So you have what you're saying is that because the cultures all have, the religions all have a common theme, which is to understand
God, to find God.
And how is that today enhancing the unification of the world in a spiritual sense?
Yes, in spiritual sense. Because everyone wants to find God. So they will find themselves in the same place, trying to look for God. You know, when the missionaries came to Africa, they found us with our traditional beliefs. But when religion came in Africa, like Christianity and Catholicism, then people of different traditions started coming together on Sundays to fellowship from different languages and cultures. Religion has played a big role to the extent that the entire world, people of different races and different languages can have the same faith.
And within the religions, there's always a musical expression. And how does music tie in with religion and bringing people together?
Okay, firstly, I'll talk about the scientific side of music.
Okay.
There has been a research that has been developed, we call it musicology, by the University of North Carolina. Yes. Firstly, music stimulates, music lowers the cortisol hormone. We call cortisol hormone is a stress hormone. So music lowers the cortisol. Music stimulates the dopamine hormone. The dopamine hormone is the feel-good hormone because with racism and discrimination, the solution for that is feeling good. Can you feel comfortable with someone? Can you feel good in that place? If music can play that role for us, then music is a great, great resource that we do have to bring people together. So music also stimulates the oxytocin hormone, the trust hormone, because trust is an issue. You cannot trust someone different. You can't. You can't unless through music. You know, you knew the differences between the blacks and the whites in the U.S. in those years, you saw how music played a big role through the black musicians like Mike Jackson. Yeah, when he sang, every race danced with him. They danced the same music. And look at the national anthem. Regardless of differences in political parties, people will still sing the national anthem.
For every country.
For every country.
Yeah.
So, actually in East Africa, now we have the East African anthem. Yes. So, music is playing a big role because, let me tell you this, did you know that the most famous people on this planet are musicians?
Wow.
I'm telling you. People know Beyonce in Africa and everywhere. People know MJ everywhere. This is how far music can go. Music can go this far to the ends of the earth.
In uniting people.
Yes, it unites people. And lastly, we play, regardless of different traditions and different types of music, we play the same chords. Yeah, we sing the same chords.
So, in essence, what you're saying about this title, which is World War III, is that to come to a sense of peace with each other, we see the division, and these elements of religion and music and politics need to focus more on unifying the world. But in the process of that unification, there's a lot of misunderstanding, and that really is the intention of your book, is to show the misunderstanding and how that's divided us, and yet it can also reunite us. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, you're right.
So World War III is about recognizing that division.
Yes, the division, yeah.
Wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this book and your intention in writing it before we go?
Okay, what I would say about the book is that everyone who intends to travel the world must read World War III, because I have put a package of almost every area. I've written about foods. I've written about languages. People should understand that the languages we speak, the words that we use may sound similar but different in meanings. Like, for example, in Uganda there are two tribes, which whereby one of the kings had hosted the missionaries, and the missionaries went beyond the boundaries of that kingdom to the other kingdom. When they reached there, the king thought that these are spies.
Wow.
And they were arrested. After being arrested, they tried to explain, but the language was the problem. And then he wrote a letter to the other king,
right,
to ask him whether he knew about this man. The other king also replied, like, Bate, I know them. Bate in my culture, in my tribe, means let them go. But in his culture, in his language, it means kill them.
Wow.
So the man killed the missionaries simply because of the misunderstanding. Like, for example, we have different foods. I've written about foods as well. We have different foods. We take them to be the best delicacies in our in our culture. But once you go to the other culture, you may find that nobody can look at it. Nobody can sit on the same table with you and eat it. Yeah. People eat snakes, people eat snails, people eat different kinds of stuff. In Africa, we eat fish, and we also eat the heads of the fish.
Right.
Do you eat the heads of the fish in the U.S.?
No, not.
You don't.
No, usually the head is removed. But there are those that do, and they put them in separate packaging, but that's not
Yes.
a standardized.
Exactly. So I should, when I'm preparing for you a meal and I'm cooking for you fish, I have to make sure that you don't see the head. Because once you see the head, you will lose yourself.
Exactly, yes. It's like, what's this?
Yes. The same applies to gifts.
Gifts, okay, sure.
If you are in Japan and you are in Korea, don't dare give someone a gift in red color. I love red
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But you cannot give them a gift in a red color.
Really?
Yeah, you don't. You have to be time conscious when you are in Britain.
Time conscious.
Yes.
Yes.
In Africa, you don't have to. If they invite you to come at 8, and you come at 8, you have disrespected them.
Wow.
Yeah. You have to come at least an hour after 8. Yes. In Britain, you have to come 5 minutes before 8.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or you have insulted them.
Exactly.
So in World War III, your book, you define the differences.
The differences?
So that you can know how to resolve them and really enjoy the differences.
Yes. So finally, I would like people to know that as you apply to live in a different world, you should take a course to study about the culture in the community you are intending to live. Yeah.
So basically, we need to have a greater understanding of each other when we meet.
Yes.
So the differences don't create World War III.
Yeah, yeah, they don't. Yeah. So the word, basically, World War III is a psychological war.
A psychological.
How to deal with differences and uniquenesses. How to understand. This is a world war. Misunderstanding is a big issue. Yeah, among us.
Well, Emmanuel, it's been a pleasure to discuss this book with you. The title is very challenging, and I'm so glad we broke it down so people can understand why they really do need to read World War III. You know, as Emmanuel has said, he defines the motivation or the intention behind racism and how we can resolve the issues between us simply by understanding more about our differences. So I'd encourage you to read World War III by Emmanuel Musasizi. You can find it, where can we find this book if we want to read it?
Amazon.
On Amazon.com.
And so many other platforms.
Okay.
All over the world, wherever you go.
There are a lot of platforms that are carrying the book.
All online platforms.
Say that again?
All online platforms.
All the online
even on Walmart, Alibaba.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sure. In stores, online stores like Walmart, you can get World War III. So I'd highly recommend that you get this book. It's a delightful read. It's an easy read, and it brings out a lot of issues that we all need to understand in order to help create a better understanding of our world. It's a pleasure to see you again, Christoe.
A pleasure
Emmanuel.
meeting you again.
And we look forward to seeing you again here on Christoe TV in Uganda. Goodbye for now. I'm
Thank
Buddy
you.
Mix.